Greetings. My name is Jim Lindsay, and this is a lesson introducing personal information technology. This is for CIS 320. Let's get started. Let's begin by let me introduce you to a couple of features of the software itself. I want you to know how to pause a recording. In the lower left corner of your recording window, you'll see a pause button. If you click on that, you'll be able to stop the movie and read whatever is on the screen, or go get a drink of water, or whatever you need to do. But if you have a need to pause the video, please take advantage of that pause button, which is going to be in the lower left corner of the video window. I show that to you because on one or two slides of this presentation, I've got some text that I want you to actually take a look at. So when I get to those slides, I'll say, hey, please pause this, read over this information, and then start it back up. And once you've paused it, this is going to turn into a little triangle. You can click on it, at which point it starts to play. So that's how you pause a video using this Camtasia player. So that's something I wanted to share with you. So let's go ahead and get into this lesson about what is personal information technology. Personally, what I like to do when I start learning about a new topic, I like to get some background or history about the origins of whatever it is I'm supposed to be learning about. In this particular case, we're talking about personal information technology. And so what is that? What does that mean? And so to get there, we're going to have to look at a couple of different concepts and terms. To start with, let's take a look at just a computer. And please think back to your days when you took CIS 141 or CS 145 or whatever introduction course that you took for your computing classes. We define computers in our class in CIS 141 as a computer as a universal machine for processing data. And you'll recall that basically a computer will do a number of jobs based on what. And if we were in a classroom, I'd be go around the room and ask you to tell me what that what is. And the answer, of course, is software. Whatever set of instructions you give the hardware, it'll do that job. For example, you can have a computer that allows somebody to write a document like Microsoft Word. You can use the same computer to create a drawing, some sort of diagram that you'd use to make like a new deck on a house or something like that. In that case, you might use drawing software like Adobe's Illustrator or Visio's Microsoft Visio. The same machine can do a number of different jobs based on the set of instructions you get. It's a universal machine or general purpose machine that will adapt based on the set of instructions you give it. So that's what a computer is. Now, what about information technology? What is that? Well, this is one of those cases, and in a moment I'm going to ask you to pause this. In a second, please pause the video, read over this definition, and then we'll come back. So I'll give you a second to take a look. So please pause it, and I'll talk to you in a moment. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've had a chance to read that. You'll see here that information technology basically there are two words that refer to anything related to computing technology. And we've already established that a computer is that universal machine for processing data. And then the definition goes further. It basically gives examples. It talks about computer networking. It talks about the internet. It talks about the different departments within organizations that handle these sorts of things. You'll see that this is sort of a corporate, higher level thing or concept. It's not talking about what John Doe or Susie Q does as an individual. It's talking about this technology at the macro level, if you will. I got this definition from the website that you see, the techterms.com. I thought this was a pretty user-friendly definition, so I went ahead and just adopted this one for our purposes for this lesson. But we're talking about stuff at a macro level here. in this course, we really want to emphasize the personal, the personal level of use. We want to get into the micro. If we're talking about, you recall that you take macro and microeconomics as part of your business core classes, and macro talks about things at the the government level, where micro talks about things at very individual and specific small levels, and we're at the micro level here as far as technology goes. So I created this definition. Basically, personal information technology refers to information technology tools used by individuals. And you see some examples listed there, and that by no means is exhaustive. Those are several different information technology tools that an individual would use, especially in business. And this is a business class. This is part of the Computer Information Systems minor. We're in the College of Business, and so we really want to concentrate on those information technology tools used by business professionals, but they are not exclusive to people in the business field. And as you'll see in a minute, they're actually used in just about every field that's out there. So we'll get to that in just a minute. So let's take a look at just this personal versus the corporate implementation of technology just a little bit further. So let me show you one more thing. And I've got four different examples to talk about here. For example, you'll see in this table that's on the slide, you'll see that there's a personal information technology column and a corporate information technology column. With this course, the kinds of things we're talking about with regard to email, we're talking about how do you set up your own personal email? How do you best manage your personal email accounts so that you're efficient and that you're leveraging the technology to basically do your job as well as possible, whether that's in a business environment or in a nonprofit environment or in an education environment, or wherever you may be, or even just at the personal level. In contrast to that, if we talk about corporate information technology, and that would be somebody that's pursuing something like a computer information technology degree, which is one of the degrees that we offer. But at that point, you'd be working trying to set up something like a Microsoft Exchange server, which could receive all of the email for everybody in an entire department or company. And then how would you back that data up? How would you take care of that data so that everybody could access it from the office and also from home, if they were on the road somewhere? And that's the difference here. In this course, we're concerned with the personal accessing and management of that particular data at the personal level. Okay, next, with regard to like internet service, we're going to be looking at it from a level like this. Let's say you're a salesperson and you want to I'll use an example from my family. I've got a family member that sells insurance, and they frequently go to meet with people for sales calls that live out in the country, and there's no guarantee that when they get there that person is going to have internet access. Well, if you've ever bought insurance before, you'll know that the cost of your insurance is contingent upon a lot of different variables. For instance, how old are you? What is your driving history? If it's health insurance, how old are you? What do you smoke? What's your gender? What's the history of disease within your family? All that sort of stuff. So based on those answers, there's going to be a different cost for example, for a life insurance premium. Well, when my family member gets to this location to have this meeting, they want to be able to give that potential customer information immediately. If they're in the mood to make a purchase, you need to move on that. So MiFi is just one example of a basically what you can do. You can take this MiFi device, and it can work off of 3G and 4G telephone connectivity, and basically take an entire area and make it into like a little wireless internet zone. And you may have seen commercials for that. So a MiFi device is something that takes an area and makes it a wireless internet capable area for one person or maybe 2. That's an example of that's the kind of stuff I want you guys to be aware of and be able to take advantage of as a result of taking this class. Also, when we talk about wireless internet or Wi-Fi internet service for an individual home office, I think that's something that's definitely something that we can address in this course. I think that's very appropriate for us to talk about that. Now, I'm not concerned about getting you educated to a point about internet service so that you could go and obtain broadband internet service for an entire company. That's something that an information technology major would learn about. What sort of bandwidth is going to be required to satisfy the needs of this big company. Well, that's something that's beyond our scope. We're concerned with the individual worker, the individual's home office or little small office. That's where I want to get you. So that's another example. Third example here, talking about social networking and weblog type of activity. I'm interested in making you comfortable with those technologies so that you could promote products or services that you personally are responsible for. For example, let's say you're a salesperson for. I'll use my brother as an example. He sells signs and stuff that you would take to convention centers. He is a social media freak. I mean, he uses Twitter and LinkedIn and blogs and all sorts of stuff, and he does it really well, and it really helps him do his job well. I mean, he's at this point he has about 8 states that he covers, and a big reason for that is that he stays in communication with his customers through these social media sites, and they know where he is, they know what he's talking about. He puts updates about the products that he can provide, and it works for him. He's concerned with it at his level. The company that he works for does a lot more than just the stuff that he sells. At that macro level, at the company level, there would be a different strategy that you'd use for your weblogs or your social media sites. You'd be interested in covering a whole collection of products where, as an individual or as one person, you're not going to be as concerned with all those grand strategies. So we're going to be talking about that in this class. Now, hopefully that's new, and I hope that it's new for me covering that in this class, and I hope that you're going to get a lot out of it, and I hope that you're going to enjoy it. One last example. Let's look at obtaining something like a service or some sort of cloud storage service, like iCloud, or one of a number of different storage services that you can pay for. And basically, what you do through an internet connection, you can back up your data from your laptops or your desktop machines and store those basically somewhere. And any event that lightning strikes your house or there's a flood or something, you have your data saved somewhere else. Again, I want to get you comfortable enough with these concepts and ideas so that you could do that for yourself, for your your home office. I'm not concerned with getting you to the point where you could back up, servers and be familiar with, RAID and all that kind of stuff. That's beyond our scope. We're concerned with the individual at this micro level. So those are things that we're going to be looking at as personal information technology. That's how I see personal information technology. Now, what I'd like to do is spend just a couple of minutes and show you some examples. These are lots of different professions, and you'll see they're very varied. I didn't mean to say very varied, but there are lots of different jobs here, and I feel like I've got some good examples of uses of personal information technology in each of these. As I was writing this lesson, I was trying to come up with questions, and one of the questions I had was, who uses personal information technology? And I think really the answer is who doesn't. If you're going to be a blacksmith and make horseshoes, by hand and not use any sort of electricity or something like that, maybe you'd get by without using any personal information technology. But just about everybody else is going to have some sort of utility for this sort of stuff. So let me show you some examples. I'm going to pause this, pull up some examples, and we'll talk further. Okay, I've moved over to my browser, and I'm using Firefox. That's my favorite browser. I'll also use Chrome and Internet Explorer some during the semester, but Firefox is my favorite. This is an example. My brother, as I mentioned, is a salesperson. He works with Moss Inc. And this is his LinkedIn page, and you can see that he's an account rep or an account executive. And as you go down through this information, you'll see information about him. And we're going to work with LinkedIn this semester. I want you guys to become really comfortable with it. This is a social networking site which basically allows you to post resume type of information, and then not just that. It's not so much of a monster.com or dice.com, but it's more used as a networking type of tool where you can connect with people at similar companies or in the same industry, and you can basically learn a lot and start. If you leverage this type of technology properly, you can start to see gains in your job searches, or in your just as you do your job or promote yourself. So this is an example of a salesperson who has successfully utilized a social networking site like LinkedIn. My brother graduated from Western with a photojournalism degree, actually, and once he got into the photojournalism world, he did that for nearly a decade. And one of the things that he liked to do is kayak. And so as he started to canoe and kayak a lot, he became friends with a guy at Dagger Canoe and Kayaks, just because they lived in the same place, they canoed and kayaked and the same thing, and they started to have him take pictures for their website. And then eventually he got into web design, and then he got into the business world, and now he's doing the sales type of thing. So despite the fact he came to Western and graduated as a photojournalism major, he's now working in business, and he's using all of these different social networking sites very well. And so I'd like to make sure I tell you guys about what he does, and hopefully get you guys turned on to be able to do the same things that he's doing. Let me show you somebody else in a totally different field. This is the Twitter site for Coach Nidell from the Western Kentucky University soccer program. And you'll see that these are tweets that he's posted, and as you go down the list, basically you'll see that he's keeping people up to date with what the team's doing, and also what alumni are doing. I do academic stuff with the soccer team, and I'm a big fan, and this is a way that I can keep up with, where are they playing, how is practice going, are they, what are the alumni doing. For example, you'll see this alumni that you're going to see a website for in just a second ago, Libby Stout. She has been signed to a professional contract to play in France, and so through these different media, and again, Coach Nidell is he's an athlete, and he's coaching athletes, but he's using this personal information technology to promote the Hilltopper program, and therefore promote the university. And it's just an example of somebody in a completely different field, in a non-business related field. He's using this technology successfully to promote his program and therefore the university. One of the things I've listed in the PowerPoint slide, it talks about physicians and doctors, and I wanted to relay a story to you. My kids go to a dentist that basically, when your appointment's coming up for the dentist, they send you a text. They'll remind you the day before, hey, you have an appointment for John Doe or Susie Q at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that's using mobile devices as a reminder, so that they don't have people miss appointments and waste office time. So I don't have a screen to show you with that, but basically everybody here has probably received a text on your telephone, and at that small business, at that small doctor's office, they set up their system, their reminder system, to not only place a phone call, but also send out a text message. It's something you can elect to do if you want to when you sign up for services with them, and so you can basically be reminded. It's a really smart use of technology that exists, and it keeps people showing up, and it makes their day more efficient and keeps them making money. Another example, let's look at a financial planner, and here is a financial planner from the Bowling Green area, and this is Jeanette Reyes, and she has a financial group, and with this WordPress blog, you'll see wordpress.com. This is something that we're also going to get to work with. This is a weblog, and through this sort of media, what you can do is you can share information. You can basically write articles, and so what that helps you do is basically establish yourself as an expert. And so as you can go through, and you can look this up if you like, but basically you can read articles that this person has written, and you can see why they would recommend that you affiliate with this particular firm. And once you've start to feel comfortable with that, here's some contact information so you can contact this person and then start to do your financial planning with them. This is a free service, WordPress is, and it's does every financial planner do this? No, obviously not. But it's something that if you do it well, you can start to make yourself rise to the top of the list as somebody who's a desirable person to do business with. You want to be perceived as the expert in a field, and you're creating your own expertise doing this sort of thing. You're getting yourself published, and it's not like you're having to go through the whole publishing process with a magazine or a newspaper. I mean, you can just put it there. Now that can also be a curse, because you could put something out and have words spelled wrong or be incorrect in what you state, and you could embarrass yourself. But if you're doing this conscientiously and you're being accurate and you're being right, this can help you convince people that you know what you're talking about. So this is an example of a financial planner using social media to help promote themselves and help promote their business. Let me switch over to fitness. Let me go to CrossFit of Bowling Green. This is a local business. This is a gym that I go to, and this is there are probably about a dozen people that work there. The owner has used social media well, and this is a Facebook page for the gym. And as you scroll around the page, you can find information about the people that use it. There are pictures posted of the events that they sponsor and of the exercises, and this is just a free way. And most people use some sort of social networking technology, especially most younger people, and that's kind of who they're targeting is younger and middle-aged people that like to exercise. And so and they have it on their phones, they have it on their iPads, they have it on their computers. And so this is just one example of an athletic type of business taking advantage of social networking. Now let me pause it and I'll pull up some more. Okay, I've pulled up some other examples here. At this point, I'm talking about business managers and administrators, basically anybody that ever needs to schedule a meeting. This is a website called doodle.com. It's a very good collaboration tool. Let's just click on this. Well, let's go back and view the example. Basically, what you've got going on here is a site where you schedule some times. Like in this example, there's September 3rd, 4th, and 6th, and some times available. You send out an email to people, and they would get in here and say, I'm Jimbo, and I'm available here and here. Save it, and it would then, you can go back to the poll and you'll see that Jimbo is now there. And so what you do is, with this site, this is again a personal information technology that a manager can use. They can use this sort of thing to find out what time blocks all the different people are available. And you can say, okay, well, you know what? The only time that everybody is available is Thursday from 9:15 to 11:15, so let's meet then. And so this is just one example of, and again, it's doodle.com, it's free. this is an example of a business manager's using this. And just about anywhere you go to work, you're going to have to collaborate with people. And again, we talk about that extensively in CIS 141 and talk about collaboration tools. But this is a great one, doodle.com. Check that out if you've never used it before. For a teacher, you guys are very familiar with Blackboard. Obviously, you're watching this video. Blackboard is a I consider it a personal information technology for me because I use it to disseminate information, to share lectures, to share links, to collect collect assignments from you guys. Now, I'm talking about it at my level, using it at my level, not supervising the entire Blackboard server for the entire university. That's a huge job, and actually there's a whole staff that takes care of that. But using the content management or the learning management system, that's what that's referred to as an LMS, using the learning management system to manage your class, that is a personal information technology in my opinion. There are others. There's WebCT, there's Moodle, there are several different learning management systems, and there are several proprietary ones. And if you get into teaching, you're probably going to have a chance to use something like that. Not everybody does, and even at Western, you probably have some professors that do use Blackboard and some that don't. But that's, I think, an example of a personal information technology that can be quite helpful in not just to the teacher but to students. And so that's an example. This is an example from an attorney. You may have heard of the Crocker law firm. Cindy Crocker is a local attorney, and she has this Legally Speaking program, and basically it's a bunch of advice about various legal matters. A living will, power of attorneys, Kentucky dog bites, what is no-fault insurance, all that sort of stuff. I used to do technology, information technology support for law firms in Nashville, and so I pay attention to the lawyer stuff around here, and they do a great job. Crocker Law, it's a small firm, and I know the Crockers just from our kids do the same sports together. They do an awesome job using the social media. This is a YouTube video. Now, obviously, they've got they get professional help here to create these videos. They edit them really well, and once they're there, though, they tie this stuff into their website so that through things like YouTube, individuals can go and watch this. So this is not rocket science to create this type of multimedia. And if you take CIS 321, you'll learn about multimedia. That's one of the changes we've made, is that we've really made that concentrate now on multimedia, and you can learn more about the video and the codecs and things. But you can in a pretty user-friendly way, you can start to create this type of basically commercial for your company, for your products, for your services, and they're very effective. And if you tie these in, especially if you tie these into websites, people really like that. So that's something that I wanted to show you. This is an attorney's office, so we've looked at tons of different jobs. Here's another different job. This one's for a professional athlete. This is a Western Kentucky University alumnus, Libby Stout, and she has just started playing professional soccer. You come down here, it starts talking about her career, what she's doing. So where I think this is so smart is this. She's using WordPress. It's a weblog. It's free. You can access this from anywhere in the world where there's an internet connection. And obviously, she said she's living in France here. She's playing over there. So as long as she gets to a place with an internet connection, she can connect, make updates, and keep family and friends advised to where she is, how her career is going. But what I think is cool about this is that a couple of years down the road, however long she decides to play, once she's done, she's going to have this digital record of all this stuff she did as a pro. And if she decides that she wants to be a coach at a competitive level, at a collegiate level, pro level, whatever, she's got this electronic resume, bam, it's done. And so there's no doubt that this person is really good. They obviously, they're playing pro sports. They are articulate. They can come down here and put information out in an attractive way. This is just, she's building, she's putting money in the bank. And when she's finally done playing soccer, she's going to have all this stuff done so that she can then roll out and do something on the business side if she wants to. So that's why I think this is such a really smart thing to do. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at something completely different. Let's look at something from a baker. I love to eat, and we in my house we love to eat food. And so I was thinking, well, let's look at something like a bakery. And Cakes by Chloe, this is a custom cake maker. I just did a Google search for, bakeries, cakes, that kind of stuff. This came up, and this is an individual. I did some research on this after I found this site. If you've got some big event going on and you want a really cool, like a Ace of Cakes kind of cake made, she could do this. And so as you look at this site, if you go to the, she actually has an entire website as well, but it's pretty much a one-person shop, or at least it started that way. It's probably grown at this point, but this is kind of like Duff from the Ace of Cakes in Baltimore. They do these really cool, fancy cakes, and you can get a cake shaped like Darth Vader's head or whatever, and she's using Facebook to promote it. And so a baker is using social media to promote their services, their cakes online, and some guy in Bowling Green, Kentucky found it. So I think it's an example of smart use of technology. So let me get these closed down, and we'll go back and we'll finish up the presentation. All right, I'm back in the presentation here, and we're about to finish up. So the question is, why should you care about personal information technologies? And there's supposed to be a question mark up there. I apologize, there's not. The reason you should care is basically that you're going to use them, and you're in this class, and we're going to be talking about them and using them. So obviously that's one reason to care. But beyond that, like I said earlier, regardless of what you go into, you're probably going to be using some sort of personal information technologies. So if I can help you prepare to use those successfully, I think that's going to help you be a more marketable applicant. And most of us go to work for somebody or some entity. Some people go out and become entrepreneurs, and that's awesome. But a lot of people don't do that right out of college. They kind of get working, they get money saved, and then they go out and they start doing their own thing after that. So I've got a picture of a lion and a bear there, and basically you've probably heard the joke that if you're being chased by a lion or chased by a bear, and you're with your friends camping or whatever, and you're getting chased, you don't have to run faster than the lion or bear. You just have to run faster than your friend. So I'm trying to teach you to run faster than your friend away from the lion or the bear so that you can survive to fight another day. I want to make you more marketable, more productive, so that you are the best applicant for whatever it is you're trying to get into, whether that's teaching or sales or being owning a bakery or whatever. So that's my intent. That's why I hope you'll care about personal information technologies. Now, lastly, if we were in class, I'd say, what kind of questions do you have? Hopefully you would have had some questions along the way, but once we get to here, I'd say, what kind of questions do you have? So because we're in an online format, I can't interact with you right at this second, but what I'd ask you to do, if you have questions, call me, email me, or post them on the raise your hand forum on the discussion board so we can talk about those. So I thank you for your time and attention. I hope this was informative for you, and have a great day. Thank you.